Memphis Magazine, July 2022. What's inside? The Memphis Magazine is produced once a month and is chock full of what's happening now. This video takes a quick peek inside the July 2022 issue, displaying a short piece of each article. Sips, fancy drinks party time. Camille is an eclectic hideaway in plain sight, by Bruce Van Weingarten. Camille opened at the end of March on one of the busiest corners in Midtown, in the new Citizen Building at McLean and Union. Thousands of cars drive past the little cocktail bar every day, hurrying east or west to home or office. Maybe you were one of those who zipped by and noticed it, but haven't stopped in yet. That's a mistake. This place is a jewel. I'm greeted by 2/3 of the ownership group when I enter, Mackenzie Nelson and Mary Oglesby. The other third, Paul Gillum, is on his honeymoon in the south of France. The three bartenders became acquainted while working together at various other establishments, including Laughlin Yard, Rail Garden, and Lucky Cat Raymond, to name three. Their brainchild, Camille, was conceived, as so many things were, during the great COVID lockdown. Meet the real estate experts. Members of the Memphis Area Association of Realtors offer buying and selling tips for the home of your dreams. Whether you're working to buy your first home, pouring love into a fixer-upper, or have found your forever home, chances are you still have questions about the best strategies in real estate. Who doesn't? We've all heard that the housing market has been disrupted these past few years. What does that mean locally? And what can prospective and current homeowners do to get a leg up in the buying and selling process? To learn more, we consulted with the experts, an array of local realtors, many of who have served Mid-South families for quite a few years. We asked them the questions that we might wonder ourselves. What should I do if I'm interested in selling a home? How about buying one? Where should I be looking? What might I be getting wrong? Through these conversations, we learned about the local realtors whose names you might encounter on a for sale sign, or maybe even who sold your first home. And through them, we picked up some helpful suggestions that we're happy to pass along to you. Who was Elizabeth V. Poulos? Our history expert solves local mysteries. Who, what, when, where, why, and why not? Well, sometimes. By Vance Lauderdale. Dear Vance, why is a stone carved Elizabeth V. Poulos with the date 1940 mounted on top of the eclectic I building at Peabody and Cooper? From D.C., Memphis. Dear D.C., every time I've driven around that area and noticed that stone, I've wondered about it. Over the years, I've received at least a dozen queries asking who this person was and what the stone signifies. Whenever I looked into it, though, I hit a dead end. So, after 20 minutes or so, I usually retreated back to the comfort of my lazy boy. But in May, Fanny and Robbie Johnson Weinberg, the mother-daughter owners of that building, announced plans to convert half of it, for years home to State Farm, into a gift shop called Paradox at Pico. Pico being shorthand for Peabody and Cooper. Hearing that, I fretted they might remove the old stone, so this time I devoted extra effort to solving this mystery. Telling the truth about a certain history. A conversation with artist Danny Broadway by John W. Sparks. Creating images has always come easily to Danny Broadway. As a child, he wanted to do little more than draw, and as he grew up, he refined his art and his approach to visual storytelling. And it continues as an ongoing embrace of a journey that is as intellectual as it is artistic. Broadway has been in Memphis most of his professional career, including 16 years teaching at St. George's Independent School. He works from his home and studio on Jackson Avenue, frequently on commissioned pieces, and has produced work for PBS, FedEx, Regional One, the Memphis Grizzlies, Major League Baseball, the National Civil Rights Museum, and a host of other clients. Classic Dining, the Pancake Shop. Whether you want fluffy pancakes at 6 p.m. or ribeye at 6 a.m., this iconic Memphis dining spot serves it right up. By Michael Donahue. If you glance down, you might see Hunter Myers wearing his breakfast socks. Gray socks with little bacon, toast, and sunny side up egg designs. They're a perfect fit for Myers, a gift from his mother after he bought the Pancake shop on March 1, 2022. I looked down and I saw this pair of socks folded over with a little bow on them on the table, Myers says. It said congratulations on the card. So far, owning the iconic restaurant on Summer Avenue has been a fine ride, says the 44-year-old Myers. He was told the restaurant was started in 1957 and went through 3 owners until he bought it. Though his family moved to Memphis when he was 5 years old, Myers says, I never went to the Pancake shop growing up, but he certainly knew about it. It's a Northeast Memphis tradition. It's a staple. You've got the Pancake shop and Bryant's breakfast on Summer. A Chickasaw Classic. Realtor Linda Biggs Bedour occupies a piece of Chickasaw Gardens history by Chris McCoy. Linda Biggs Bedour did not set out to sell herself a house. We used to live in Hedgemoor, which I loved, she says. This was kind of an accidental move for us. She and her husband, Drew Bedour, intended to update their cottage in the neighborhood off Walnut Grove, which was her home before they were married. Architect Charles Shipp had drawn plans for renovations to the house. Redo the kitchen, expand our master bedrooms, just give us more space, she says. We were moving forward with all of that, and then a friend called and asked me to help her price this house. The Best Worst State Ever, Part 1, Thank God for Mississippi, by John Branston. Editor's note: John Branston has been thinking about Mississippi for a long while. What follows is his meditative exploration through what he calls, mostly fondly, the best, worst state ever. You are encountering his musings in the form of a cover story, but these could just as easily fill a book. The best stories defy categorization. The moments that he shares here take place on the road, but you wouldn't call this a travel story. John allows the unprettier parts to take up space, but neither is this another think piece about the ills of Mississippi. It's more like sitting in John's passenger seat and listening as one of our best storytellers meanders through a state he's been in conversation with for more than half his life. This is part 1 of a 4-part series. Enjoy the ride. The Best Worst State Ever, Part 2. From Memphis to Natchez, Thank God for Mississippi, by John Branston. Memphis to Tunica on Highway 61, cows and casinos. In 1993, I stood outside the original Harrah's Casino in Tunica on opening day. CEO Mike Rose, standing next to me, muttered, "Unbelievable," as he looked at the line of cars stretching far beyond the levee to get at the parking lot. Bigger casinos were yet to come, including Grand Casino, which boasted the closest location to Memphis, the biggest casino and hotel between Vegas and Atlantic City, and a lot of questionable frills like a golf course, shooting range, off-site hotels, and a play center for kids. It did not work. Ownership changed hands a couple of times until Harrah's bought it in 2007, pumped in $43 million more, and hired Paula Dean to brand its restaurants. The Best Worst State Ever, Part 3. From Clarksdale through Jackson, Thank God for Mississippi. You would think Highway 61 is the only road in Mississippi, the way people write, sing, and carry on about it. Highway 49 don't get no respect. Mile for mile, 49 can hold its own against any road in South for famous people and places. From Helena, Mark Twain's Life on the Mississippi, to Clarksdale, Morgan Freeman, to Drew, Archie Manning, to Parchment Prison, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, to Indianola, B.B. King, to Yazoo City, Man of Letters, Willie Morris, Man of Clean Jokes, Jerry Clower, a literate man of motivation, Zig Ziglar, to Jackson, Eudora Welty, to Hattiesburg, University of Southern Mississippi, to Wiggins, pitcher Dizzy Dean, to Gulfport. En route to Memphis from a news assignment in the Delta, my photographer partner and I passed a sign for Alligator, and I insisted we turn off to have a look. There was a general store, a vacant building, with a giant alligator painted on its side and a vast expanse of flat nothingness behind it. As we slowed down, a little girl crossed in front of us and stopped right in the mouth of the gator. In only a little more time than it takes to say ghost town, we turned and headed back to Memphis. The Best Worst State Ever, Part 4. The Coast, Thank God for Mississippi, by John Branston. The Coast. Disaster tourism was in style in 2006, the year after Katrina, when I visited the Gulf Coast with Memphis developer Henry Turley, whose work in downtown Memphis and Harbortown had attracted the attention of the governor and the mayor of Biloxi. I think it will take more than one storm to wash out some of these people, Turley told me. There's a line about 200 feet back from that seawall where you have to be pretty bold to build. But beyond that, I think it will be repopulated. I think they need a big site to make a statement that says this is what's possible if you do it right. You have to lay it out, establish what you mean by desirable development. The governor's office, Haley Barbour, gets it. The real problem, though, is when you get into multiple ownerships. I just don't think they can press the government's right to assemble land. They're Republicans. They're property rights guys. Active Atrocity. When Will America Make Mass Murder an Enemy? By Frank Murtaugh. There will be a mass shooting in the United States this month. Actually, there will be multiple mass shootings in this country before July turns to August. Through the end of May, there had been more than 230 such tragedies, more than one incident per day in which at least 4 people were shot. This is a condition in America here in 2022 that separates our country from every other developed nation on the planet, and the fever will continue to damage and destroy until those in positions of authority, our legislative branch, address the one common link between every last one of these atrocities: guns. I have a good friend who lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so my heart did some racing, briefly thankfully, on June 1st when news broke of a mass shooting at a hospital in that city. But once I knew I didn't know a victim, I returned to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Life in America is great until you're randomly shot and killed. Chance or fate, or whatever. It's so delightful to be transported into or reminded about a version of the world that also exists all the time, where love and familiarity are just around the corner, by Anna Traverse Vogel. My phone buzzed as we were standing in a blinding late May sunlight outside the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. After nearly 4 hours of historical exploration, my husband, stepson, and I had decided to take a break, take a breath, and maybe find a bite to eat before heading back in to complete our tour. The place is vast. The buzz was a text from my first cousin, Hannah Traverse. Yes, there's Anna Traverse and Hannah Traverse, and yes, one day we may jointly take over the world. Anyway, Hannah was messaging me to ask, "You at the World War II Museum in New Orleans?" Huh? My first thought was that she had perhaps seen something in my Instagram stories about where we were spending Memorial Day weekend. Maybe she had visited the museum in the recent past and wanted to compare notes. We hope you have enjoyed our article snippets. Now, grab the magazine, find a cool spot, and a cold drink, and spend some quality, quiet time enjoying the full-length articles. You can have all 12 monthly magazines mailed directly to your home, one each month, with our yearly subscription. It's only $18. Check the link in the description below this video to get started. You will thank yourself every month.